And action.
Action.
Okay, mister. So we're going to do a video of Q&A. You have asked, and the captain will tell. So we've had a lot of people message us, comment, email, that kind of stuff on our YouTube page, asking questions about different things. And because the captain does work, and I'm the one that mans the YouTube page, I don't know all the answers to your questions. So we're going to have him here on the couch, so to speak, and we're going to ask him all of your questions that I have written down. Okay,
Right.
Well, maybe not all of them, but most of them. Okay, Mr. Watford, are you ready?
I think so.
Okay, Captain. So one of the questions that have been asked quite often is, what type of boat do we have?
It's a sedan bridge is what it's called, but it's a 1998 model Maximum. It's called an SCV 4100, so it's a 41-foot sedan bridge.
Perfect. Power boat.
Yep, power boat.
Diesel.
Oh yeah, twin Cummins. That's my favorite part.
Okay, awesome. Okay. And what type of dinghy do we have?
It's I think it's a 10.5-foot West Marine, fiberglass bottom, fiberglass hull, with a 15-horse Tahatsu. And the Tahatsu, we went back and forth between that and Mercury. They both have. I wanted one that was light as possible, and it did not. It doesn't have electric start. It has pull start, but it has fuel injection. It is a phenomenal engine. First pull every time it starts right up. But there's some other ones we looked at. I would love to have, but ours we put on our swim deck. So I tried to make it light, so I didn't have to deal with batteries. And I would love to have a center console, but now you're adding weight, and between me and her, it's kind of a struggle to get up there. But we have a system.
I got muscles.
But if we had electric start, we had center console, we had another 200 pounds on it.
Yeah.
It'd be a problem.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Good deal. Good deal. Okay. Another person several times have asked, cost for marinas. What does it cost to keep a boat in a marina? So I pay the bills, so I'll tell you that.
Just so you know too, if you're paying by the month, it's one thing, but you're paying by the day, it's a whole different.
Yeah, so locally here in Kemah, League City area, they charge by the foot, they charge by the slip, and so like if we had a 60-foot boat, we would need to be on another slip here, another pier, because these slips are only
40-foot boats.
40-foot boats or smaller. So that's the length and the width of the slip that you're renting from them every month. So our cost is $360 a month. Because of the size of our boat, our electricity, I believe, is included here at this marina. So the bigger boats, they're going to charge a little bit more because your slip is going to be bigger, and then you also may have to pay for electricity in certain places. Water is usually included. With that being said, when you travel, you're going to ask the marina that you need a transient slip, which is just night by night kind of thing. Those are going to charge by the foot. They range from $1 to $2 a foot, depending on the size of your boat. So you're going to pay on the length. Some places like the Homa Marina, they were free. Morgan City marinas, they were $30 a night. So if you get into city marinas, they're just going to be a flat fee per night typically, whereas some of the other marinas are going to charge you by the foot. But here locally, where we're at, we pay monthly, and it's $360 a month. It's very comparable to all the other marinas around this area. So, you have anything to add to that?
No, so something else too is we've been from Corpus all the way to Florida, right? Pensacola, Florida, and by far the most expensive marina is all of them in Galveston. They're
more expensive.
They're more expensive than anywhere we've ever been. Per night. But also Freeport Marina, Surfside Marina is
very expensive.
There's Freeport Marina, which is really cheap, like what, $75?
Like $60 a night, yeah.
Yeah, and then there's Bridge Harbor, which is in Surfside. But there's a few marinas. For some reason, I don't know why Galveston costs that much, but Galveston is.
We usually pay about $130 to $140 a night to go to Galveston. So the Yacht Basin, Pelican's Rest,
Moody
Gardens, they're all they're like $3 a foot, and we're 42 feet or 41 foot. So, I think it's where you're at. Just like in Florida, we paid that in Orange Beach, where once we got to Pensacola or
Perdido Key. Perdido Key was $75
a night. Yeah.
A night, and it was in Florida with white sandy beaches and.
So it's going to range.
Yeah.
So hopefully that answers your question.
Yes.
Okay. Cost for insurance. So we have State Farm. We use State Farm for our house and our cars, and they do have boat insurance. I want to say we pay like $125, $150 a month.
I guess $150 a month. It does not include CETO. And we used to have Progressive, and it covered Ride and Glide or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But we just pay extra for CETO. We get with Boat US, and I think it's $170 a year, or $170 something a year for CETO. So if we break down anywhere or need fuel or any soft, what do you call it, running the ground softly without, they'll pull you off for free.
Okay.
Anything major is a totally different game.
But State Farm is who we use,
Yeah.
and you can pay them monthly or by premium. You can pay them yearly or 6 months.
It's something too. Speaking of that, you have to have at least $300,000 worth of liability to go in almost every marina we've ever been in. You have
They
to
do
have
require you to have insurance to stay at marinas, home marinas like we're here, or when you're traveling. So
as far as marinas, I would definitely recommend calling ahead too, because their fuel pumps may be out, their pump outs may be broken.
they may not have room for you.
They may not have room for you, so always call ahead. And a lot of times they try to make it easier. Like Rockport, for example, they have 2 huge signs at their transient slips. I think it says welcome or something like that. And they tell you, look for the welcome flag. And they probably have 7,500 slips or whatever, decent size. But they have 2 huge welcome signs. And when you pull into a marina, you don't know where you're going or anything, but you see the 2 welcome signs. They told us about it. We went straight to it, and it was easy to do.
Designated transient slips.
Yeah, and a lot of times it's, when you first come to marina, it's right there.
Yeah.
Well,
the same thing at Matagorda. They have a sign that says transient slips, and it has
that's right.
So they have designated slips for you. Okay, so for insurance, we talked about that. So somebody asked, how much do we pay to have our boat washed? Because we do use Mario. He's here locally. There's lots of people out there washing boats. So we pay him $100 a month, and they wash our boat every 2 weeks. So we're paying $50 a wash, basically. And they do a really good job.
They towel dry it, so you don't have any streaks in your isinglass or any of your regular glass or anything.
And here's why we decided to pay somebody to wash our boat. Yes, we could definitely wash our boat ourselves. But when we come down here, we're usually only here for 2 days, and the last thing we want to do is spend time washing our boat. We would rather be playing on the boat and taking the boat out and doing all that. And the boat gets dirty. There's birds that fly over it and like to do all that. And then when we travel and we go to Galveston, sea spray is all over the boat. It feels like just salt is everywhere. So you want to get that off. So we just pay him. It's $100 every 2 weeks, and he always messages Sean and lets him know that, hey, I washed your boat. He's an honest guy. He seems very, very sweet. We don't ever really see them because we're usually not here when they come during the week. But I do highly recommend it.
Two things also is, whenever it's super hot or super cold, you really don't feel like doing it. And we also do at least probably 90% of our own maintenance.
Yeah, that's one of my questions.
So
yeah.
if I want to be doing all my maintenance, doing all my work, and still having my fun, $50 is well worth it. You pay that for a car to get clean.
Yeah, it's $25 a week.
Yeah, like I said, in the wintertime, it's hard to get motivated to do it.
And then you don't want to do it, so then your boat sits and it's dirty.
Yeah.
And he also once a year polishes our boat, correct?
He does the compound, polish, and wax, and it used to be $1,200, but the last few years it's gone up to about $1,600. It seems like a lot of money, but whenever you do your own compound, polish, and wax, it'll take you days. It takes them 3 days with 1 to 3 guys, it depends, to do it.
And you only do it once a year.
Well, I do it every April. That way I can keep up with it. Makes it easy.
Okay, perfect. Okay, let's see. Cost for fuel and how long does your fuel last? So I know that's a little tricky.
Yeah, because fuel does cost more at a marina compared to on the side of the road somewhere at a gas station. But something we did learn is whenever you're traveling, call ahead of the time and get the price, because we learned that on our last Corpus trip. I didn't call ahead, and most places were $370 to $420, and I went ahead and called, and they said, yeah, we're open. Come on. So we topped off, and I paid $5, over $5 a gallon. I didn't even know it until after we
Yeah, but we'd already pumped the fuel. We had to pay for it. But yeah, so call ahead, ask them how much it is. But yeah, it's more expensive on the water, obviously, but you have no choice. So.
And almost every place has red diesel, which is has red dye in it, which you're not paying the tax on it. Like if you buy diesel at a gas station, it doesn't have red dye in it, and you're having to pay taxes for your vehicle because it's a road tax. But boats don't have to pay road tax if they're on the road, so most places do have the red dot. People have asked us that.
Oh, okay.
But sometimes I do is I have a 100-gallon fuel cell in my Ford truck, and I'll buy it at a gas station for cheap, and I have 11 or 12-gallon deal, and I'll pump it into that. And I'll do 11 gallons at a time. I'll put it in my boat.
We bought that at Northern Tools.
Yeah,
the fuel cell thing that you can bring down the fuel. Y'all probably seen it on.
It's a little bit of work, but it saves you. If it saves you $1.50 a gallon, and you want 300 gallons, it's a lot of money.
Worth it. Yeah. Okay. And how long does our fuel last? How much fuel do we?
Well, if we're traveling, you want to talk about mileage? Or is that something else?
That's something else. But we can talk about it. How many miles have we been? That was another.
Well, typically we don't fill it up. I mean, maybe if we don't go on a trip to Corpus or anywhere, any big trips, just going to Galveston and back or Surfside and back,
or the cruising the lake.
We probably put fuel in it once a year.
Yeah.
If it's not for that.
Yeah.
Because we hold 380 gallons and we get between 1.5 miles per gallon. So just going to Galveston and back, it's only 50
and I think
miles.
what people are asking, Sean, is how much does it cost to play on your boat? Like if they have a boat and they want to come to the weekends and do what we're doing and go to Galveston, go to Pier 6, that kind of stuff, it's not gonna. You don't have to fill your boat up every weekend. You don't even have to ever touch your fuel.
Yeah.
So,
if we put 200 gallons in it, we're good. Now this is first part of March. We put 200 gallons in, we'd be good to the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Unless we go to Corpus or Florida or whatever.
It's really only when you're traveling long distances that you're going to have to put. We've gone to Galveston and back several times and never put fuel back in the boat. So.
And our boat is a diesel, so we get at least 1 mile per gallon. There's people that I've met that have a 24-foot center console with twin 200s. They get 1 mile per gallon. They get the same fuel mileage we get. So these people riding around on 24-foot center consoles, they get the same fuel mileage we're getting.
Yeah. Okay.
So these diesels are phenomenal.
So I think in a nutshell, don't be afraid.
Don't be afraid.
Don't be afraid to buy a boat.
It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, unless you're traveling every single week. If you're traveling every week,
if you're traveling
be
a
my
lot,
friend.
if you're traveling a lot, you definitely need to think about it. Like when we travel, stop me if I don't need to talk about this quite yet. But
okay.
If you are traveling, your speed makes a big difference. And we can do 8 or 9 knots, and we'll get 1.5 mile per gallon, or whatever. But if we're running 15 or 20 knots, we're down to 0.5 mile per gallon. That's a huge difference.
And just for those that don't have a boat and understand that, when we travel and we cruise at 8, 9 knots, it's comfortable. It's good. We're cruising. We're not. Nothing's being jostled around. We can walk around. It's good. We're not going real slow, but we're not going real fast. When he starts going fast, I mean, we've never really driven really fast, but like yesterday he went 14 knots. So when he's going 14, I mean, we got a good wake behind us and we're kicking up some water and we're kind of cruising, but it's not uncomfortable, but it could be more comfortable if that makes any sense. Yeah. So you're comfortable going cruising slower.
If you just drive it 10, 20 miles a weekend, it's not that big of a deal, man. Just like every so often, especially on a diesel, you want to run them hard. Yesterday I got to 15 knots for a while, trying to kind of keep the diesels cleaned out.
Yeah.
But fuel mileage really isn't that big of a deal unless you're really doing traveling. If you're traveling for more than 100 or 200 miles, you probably need to pay attention a little bit.
Okay.
It makes a big difference then.
It does.
And and I use a fuel injector cleaner in mine, and it's supposed to help keep the fuel injectors clean. And I have 2 fuel injectors on my starboard engine I've been having problems with, and I pulled them out today. So I'm going to take them to Houston and get them remanufactured, all 6 of them, and we'll put them back in.
We have a video on it that we're doing just
we're doing a video on it, but also it's just going to help our fuel mileage.
The wind is terrible. I hope y'all can hear us okay. The wind is just kicking. Okay, we good with that?
Yes.
Okay. How many miles have you been? Like, how far away have we ever been?
The farthest we've been was Perdido Key, Florida, which is Pensacola, It was 610 miles one way and 610 miles back.
And then going to the west, we've gone
240 miles. 240 miles to Corpus Christi.
Okay.
And back. 240 there and 240 back.
Okay.
Not too bad.
Okay.
We want to do further.
Yeah,
one day.
We will.
Someday.
Oh, this is a really good question. I'm so glad somebody asked this. How did you land such a beautiful wife?
And
I'm totally kidding. Nobody asked that question.
No, I'm going to answer that. She thought I had money. And we didn't go over these questions beforehand, so this is kind of new to me too.
I did. I thought he was rich. He's not rich. But you know what? He is a sweetie pie. Okay, I'm just teasing. I had to make fun. Okay. What engines do we have?
Oh, this is the best part. We had the 5.9 Cummins. It's just mechanical engines. They're easy to work on. I pulled the injectors out today. I stood up and worked like this. They're
going to see. If you watch the video, you'll see.
I tell you what, when you buy a boat, look at the engines, look at the type of engines they have. The Yanmars are good, Caterpillars are good. They're good engines. And diesels are phenomenal. If you're just going to do Corpus, Galveston and back, or short 30-mile-an-hour
run
runs,
the lake.
You can buy a boat cheaper if you buy it with twin 496s, gas motors, which your fuel mileage is going to suck. But who cares? If you're going to save $20,000-$30,000 buying a boat, and you're just going on short runs, man, buy the boat with gas engines.
Okay.
We plan on traveling, and we have traveled. And to do that, you can do it with gas motors, but you really want diesel because of fuel mileage.
Okay. Okay. And I will say that when this boat that we bought and it has the engines, him and my son, they always talked about all the diesels and they talked about the Cummings and all that. So I would tell my friends, I was like, they got diesels, and that's all I've heard about is how fancy these diesels are, and they're Cummings, so that's supposed to be the best kind. So.
And our engines are easy to get to.
They are.
And I just got lucky with that, But now my next boat, they will always be easy to work on. If not, I'm not owning the boat because I do 90% of my maintenance, at least 90% of it.
Yeah, that's one of my questions, or somebody's questions.
And I want to add something too. Is people have asked too. I don't think this is on here probably, but I drive the boat solely. If I go downstairs, Cindy will man the wheel while I'm gone, but she doesn't dock it. She doesn't come into the marina. She doesn't do that. And people are like, well, why don't you do that? But it's just not something that we do.
I have my own job.
She has her own job. She does very good with the dock lines, and there's a lot of planning with the dock lines, and you have to know what you're doing. We're coming to a marina. I'll tell her whenever it's safe for her to start getting her dock lines out and getting her fenders out, and we'll come up with a plan of what we're going to do. And if we don't know what we're doing, we get in there. We don't know what side it's going to be tied to. We do.
I'll have 6 lines.
We'll have 6 lines out. We'll have 4 fenders, midship and in the stern. We have everything. We have our boat hook, and now we have the marriage savers, the little headsets. We haven't had a chance to use them yet. We could have used them yesterday at Pier 6.
Yeah.
But we are going to start using those because the number one thing with coming into a dock, coming to a marina, is that she's safe. I can get a new boat if I need to, or I can repair it.
You can't get a new
I can't replace one of these. So a lot of planning and keeping your cool, and remember that their job is just as hard as your job. Because I have a lot going on when I'm trying to bring this thing in, especially if there's a lot of wind like today. But in the same token, she has a lot on her plate too. She's dealing with the wind, and she's trying to read my mind what I'm doing. So it takes a lot on both of us. So, but she, like I said, she handles the wheel while I go to the restroom, or if we're going on a long trip, I just want to walk around and get away from the helm for a little while. Because when you're at the helm for 15 hours,
and also I do know how to start the boat. I do know how to run the boat. I know how to put it in neutral, and I know how to drive it.
Yeah.
I don't know how to dock it, but I told him I'm sure I can figure it out.
Well, she knows, to idle it down. Then you can put it in neutral.
I mean, I have a concept. I'm not stupid on the. I know what to do. I just don't do it.
Worst case scenario, she can drop the anchor, and we have an AIS on our radio, and she could actually hit the distress button, and it'll call the Coast Guard. She could also take a picture of the coordinates on the radio, and she can call the Coast Guard with it or whatever.
Well, we're never far where our phones won't work.
Yes,
our phones have always.
The farthest we've been offshore was 13 miles.
Yeah. And our phones worked out there.
Yes, it did. It's fine.
Okay, good. Okay, another one is maintenance. What do we spend in maintenance? Maintenance expense.
Oh.
So, I mean, that's kind of a broad one, but we talked about the washing of the boat.
Yeah, we did the washing, the oil changes. If we don't do a trip, we don't do oil changes every couple of years. But we always go on a trip, so we're due for oil change now. The quote I got was $2,500 for an oil change.
And that's for all three engines?
That's for all three engines, including the generator. But I just can't bring myself to pay $2,500.
No.
We don't have an oil change system on our boat. Some of them have a deal, you just hit a button. I don't know how it works, but it does it for you for the most part.
That's fancy.
Yeah, but ours, we have oil pans on the bottom of our engines, and you can get a tub underneath there, drain a couple quarts in there, and then go dump it out.
We've done a video on that.
We've done that, and we've also done it where you can stick the little hose down the dipstick deal, and you can pump it up that way.
Yeah.
And it costs us about $500, five something maybe. And we've done that twice on our boat in the last 4 years we've had it. And we've done about 450 hours we put on it. We do about 100 hours or more a year.
Okay. So maintenance as far as that, and then of course the insurance we talked about, the marina fees we talked about. Of course, if you have a payment, if you finance a boat, you're going to have your payment.
Something else on maintenance is I keep one of everything on the boat. We have an extra starter, extra alternator, extra idler pulleys, tensioner pulleys, extra belt. We have ignition switches. We have these plugs. I don't know how to even explain it. It's like a cone-shaped plug. We have two of them. A smaller one, about this long, we just start small and it gets bigger. The another one is bigger than that. So if you have a hose that pops off and you can't get it back on what you're trying to get it on, you can shove that plug down in there. Or if you get a hole in your boat, you can shove it down in there. I hope that never happens. And get a hammer and beat it down in there.
I'll be videoing it.
Yeah. But it's important to have extra stuff like that. I have like fuel filters. We've been very fortunate with our boat. I've changed the fuel filters one time and there wasn't hardly any trash in them. I've got about at least 20 fuel filters left on this boat.
That came with
the boat. The guy who I bought it from had that. And he bought it in Florida, in Jacksonville, Florida, and drove it around Florida and brought it here. And I'm assuming he was worried about having trash in the fuel tank and having to change them all the time. And some people fight that. We fought that with our very first boat. It was a little small 79 Wellcraft. I thought I was getting a good deal. I bought a 79 Wellcraft with 130 hours on it. I bought it 15 years ago probably. The original owner bought it, and I bought it from him when he was in his 80s. And I said, man, this thing has no hours on it. This is great. Every time I would get the carburetor running good, we'd go out. First time we hit a wave, all the trash in the bottom of the tank would come up to the surface and get the carburetor and clog it up. We would work on it. But our boat is we're very fortunate with that.
Yeah,
but we have the Raycor filters, and you have your filter, and at the bottom there's a clear plastic bowl. You can see if there's trash in there.
Yeah.
We don't ever have trash in ours. But if you do start getting trash in there, you can open the bottom, even while you're driving if you want to, and drain it into a little cup, and with a little absorbent pad in there, absorb all the fuel and the trash, you can throw it away. But definitely keep fuel filters. I keep, just every day around here, I keep one extra gallon of oil, one extra coolant, one extra transmission fluid, one of everything. We go on a trip, I do a lot more than that. I have 5 gallons of oil, at least 2-3 gallons of coolant.
Because it's not convenient to buy those things at marinas. Some marinas don't have any. It's not like you're pulling into a gas station. Some of them have it, but some of them don't.
You would think you can go to a marinas and buy a quart of oil or a gallon of oil.
But you can't.
You can't. We found one in Morgan,
in
Intracoastal City, Shell Morgan. Some of you know where that is, in Louisiana, and they had a couple gallons, and they had one thing of fuel treatment. Mm-hmm. But in marinas, you can't buy that kind of stuff. So make sure you have it. But I don't leave that stuff on my boat very often because it's all in the way. But we go on a trip, it's at home, I can just bring it.
Okay, good deal. Best place for someone to have their boat on the Texas coast?
When we first bought our Express Cruiser, we had a 31-foot Express Cruiser before this. It was our first big boat. Before that, we always had wakeboard boats, and my plan was to take it to Galveston. Beaumont, Texas, and there's a little small marina there, and we're going to take it there. The reason for that is so I can get used to it with no traffic being around. And
because where we bought that boat was here.
Yeah.
And we knew that Kemah and there's just a lot of boats, and we were worried that it was going to be too busy.
Yeah, we thought it was congested area here, but it's really not. It's really not that big of a deal. And besides that, there are so many things to do here with your boat. All the mechanics are here. All the shops are here. Upholstery people are here. So
we're saying the best place to keep a boat on the Texas coast is Kemah.
Yeah. You know, it's like Freeport and Surfside. It's a cool area, but there's not a lot of places to take your boat.
Like as far as like restaurants?
For restaurants. There's El Dorado or Dorado, which is a pretty good restaurant.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think they're all good. Yeah. I think they're all good. Here's my way of thinking. If we're here, we have restaurants, we've got, places, things to go do. We've got the Kemah Boardwalk, we've got Lake City, we've got Seabrook, we've got all these areas around. It's not far from our house. It's like an hour and 15 drive. So it's convenient. It's far enough away so it feels like getting away for a vacation, but it's not that far away. You don't want to drive it. And then we can get to Galveston in a couple hours. We can get to Freeport in a day. We can go to the Port Authority, going towards Sabine Pass if we wanted to go that direction in a day. So it's kind of neutral location to everything. Whereas, if we were down in Freeport, yeah, we could run up to Galveston for the day, or we could go on down to Matagorda. So I think they all have their good spots and their good things. This is just convenient for us drive-wise, work-wise, and we feel like there's a lot of stuff to do here. I think if we had a choice of if it wasn't distance from where we live, we've always talked about the best place on the coast to have a boat, in our opinion, would be like Lake Pontchartrain or Mississippi, because you can jump in your boat and head out to Alabama, to Florida in a couple days. You could go the opposite direction in a couple days and get to places. So if you have options, I would think Gulfport, Bay St. Louis, those places would be really cool to have your boat at permanently.
Mississippi and Alabama is awesome because they have all those barrier islands.
Beautiful.
They're 11 to 13 miles offshore, and we saw a bunch of them. We stayed at one of them, Ship Island.
Yeah.
There's so many cool things to do, and you can, as long as it's a smooth day, you can go out and go to another one of those cities, 15 miles away.
Biloxi.
And we stayed at the Golden Nugget over there.
So I would say, those are really cool. Don't just think Bahamas, Florida Keys. I mean, those places are great. We can't wait to get there. But, realistically, if you have to stay on the coast somewhere, those would be great places to be. Here in Texas, we would definitely recommend the Kemah Clear Lake area because it's so versatile. There's
and you
so
can buy
much
parts here. Because we had issue with our head, and we couldn't find parts while we were in Freeport. We couldn't find. Definitely not Matagorda.
Really no place to buy stuff for a boat, which is kind of odd, but
here there's everything.
Yeah,
it's crowded, but
one more, CB radio information. So like CB.
We have our radio that's mounted in the boat, and we use it while we're underway. We monitor all the time. We also have a handheld for multiple reasons. One of them is whenever you're going through Louisiana and you're dealing with locks and bridges. You have to monitor two different channels. Locks are channel 13, bridges are channel 14. So you have to monitor two channels, and some of them are literally 100 feet apart.
Yeah.
You have to coordinate with the bridge and the lock at the same time. Meanwhile, they're stopping traffic over the bridge for you to get in. Meanwhile, you're having to get the lock to open up. So we have the handheld on the lock, on the bridge, and the permanent one for the lock. So it's a lot of planning with that kind of thing. And also, when you get to certain areas, when you cross over the Mississippi, I'm trying to remember how this works. When you cross over the Mississippi, they monitor different channels over there.
You have to call the, is it the Coast Guard?
Well, no, I'm talking about when you cross, you get to a certain point, I think it's the Mississippi River, they're not monitoring 16 anymore, they're monitoring another channel.
Oh, okay. So
you have to watch that. And also, if we have a dinghy, and if we're on our dinghy, and we take our dinghy a long ways away, 10, 15 miles away, and when we're on the dinghy, we have the handheld in case something were to happen. If we start taking our water and we can't get to the shore quick enough, or we broke down or whatever.
Or if somebody needs to contact us.
Yes. And also we have, in case we ever have to escape, if we have to run away, we usually, and it's not there right now, but we need to do this. We used to always leave the handheld radio on top of our refrigerator. So if we're sinking or whatever, we wake up in the middle of the night and there's 2 feet of water in the boat, we can immediately get on top of climb up the stairs and where the refrigerator is, grab the radio and get on the dinghy and we're good.
It's right there by the dinghy key. So when we're traveling, that was our plan. If something were to happen, we knew to grab the key, grab the radio, jump in the dinghy, cut the lines, get the heck out.
If she mentioned the dinghy key.
It's not a key.
It's not a key, but...
I thought it was a key.
It's not a key. It's the little... You've all seen it. Well, most of you have seen it. There's a push button to kill the engine. There's a little clip thing that holds this...
It's like a safety feature.
You have to have that on there for the start. When we're traveling, we always have the dinghy key, we call it, on the dinghy, right? So if you ever have to abandon ship, the key's already there.
Quickly, yeah.
And we leave the plug out while we're underway because water does splash up in it, and we try to leave our life jackets in there. So if we ever have to abandon ship, the key's in it. All we do is put the plug in it, untie and push it off, and we can be safe and be away from the boat because the boat is important to us, but it's not important as our lives. So
very good. Well, there you go, guys. You got the questions answered, hopefully. If you have more questions, please comment below. If you have anything to add, you can comment below. And if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. We would really appreciate it. And until next time.
Well, the subscribe button too. I want to make sure people understand too that it doesn't cost you anything to subscribe.
No.
But it does help us to reach other people, and with that algorithm or whatever, it does help. The more subscribers we have for that to reach other people and that kind of thing.
Yes. Okay, awesome.
Okay.
Well, thank you, Captain.
Oh, yeah.
You did a good job.
Well, thank you.
He's the master of all.